Hi, guys, and welcome back to BTTS Podcast, where we give our unsolicited opinions and advice on all things relationship, child raising, and the dating scene. We want to thank you for continuing to tune in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on our latest posts. And just like always, we're going to jump right in. So currently, there's discussion across the social media world about women carrying the mental load of the household, of things that go on in the household, and men just completing the task. And I've heard the women express themselves, and I fully understand it, right? So if I'm thinking about the kid's appointment, right? The kid needs to go to the dentist. I'm gonna use our kid for example. Our oldest child is getting braces coming up here in a couple of weeks. So for me, my thought process is I need to take off work. I needed to make that appointment later in the morning so that he could eat beforehand because he's not gonna be able to eat after. I need to go to the grocery store and get things that he's going to be able to eat once he gets his braces on because his mouth is gonna be sore. So I have to think of, I have to rethink my meal plan for that week and probably the following week and rethink my grocery list and possibly my budget for the grocery list. I also need to consider what type of pain medication he might need, oral versus liquid versus whatever it is. Like, these are all things that I'm having to think about surrounding just his one appointment, right? Versus if I just ask my husband, can you take him to the dentist or the orthodontist to get his braces? His thought process might be, I'm just going to take him to the orthodontist to get his braces, never considering the time of day, making sure he ate beforehand, making sure he has the pain medicine, switching up our meal plans and grocery lists and things like that. And I hear it when men say, okay, I'm doing the task. If you want me to do it a specific way, then why don't you just tell me? I do hear you when you say that. And I hear the part that I don't like is when you say, if I'm taking on the mental load of it, what are you doing? Or why can't you carry the mental load? I don't like that, right? Because the mental load, it's like, if I've got to lay it all out for you, I might as well just do it myself. I don't think that people who don't plan it, you're not doing the planning. I don't think you fully grasp how much goes into that. I literally just laid out all the things that are going to go into my child getting his braces on. This is going to be a 2-hour appointment, but that 2-hour appointment is going to affect us for the next 2 weeks. It affects our budget. It affects our menu. It affects our groceries. It affects a lot of things. And so you have to think about those things. It was a whole process to come up with a plan surrounding how he's going to function over the next week or so. That is the part that you want release from, right? The constant thought, the constant planning. And yes, it may be some overthinking in there, 100%. Yes, there needs to be a point where we take our hands off of it and say, if I'm going to give you this task, then I'm going to have to accept however you execute the task. And I think that is where the disconnect and the issues are coming. Because at the end of the day, if I ask you to go to the grocery store and do the grocery shopping, then I need to just give it to you. And I can't be upset if you come home with Kraft cheese instead of the Velveeta that I wanted because I didn't give you specific details, right? I just asked you to go to the grocery store. That became your responsibility. With that, you also took on making the list, making sure that we had what we need. You should have checked the pantry and the refrigerator. I have to be able to allow you to take that on and accept what I get in return.
So what I'm hearing you say is, sometimes the mental load is being placed on a person inwardly or they're placing it on themselves. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you're saying that basically you have to be able to release this portion of the mental load and then just take your hands off of it and accept however it comes back to you. So if you don't release it though, or if you're putting this mental load on yourself and wanting to see everything through, basically micromanage everything, then this is something that you are creating? That's what I'm asking.
No, you're not creating it because it exists regardless of if I am doing it or you are doing the task. So I want to use our son, for example.
Hold on, pause before you go into that. I'm saying it that way because maybe I'm saying it wrong. So not creating the actual mental load, more so creating the issues around what the mental load is. Okay, so the person that has the mental load is creating the issues. Yes,
you create the issue when you can't let go. If I give you the task, I have to also let go of the mental load of it. If I'm asking you to do the grocery shopping, I'm not making the list, I'm not checking the pantry or the refrigerator. This is now your task in its entirety.
So okay, I understand that. And I do understand having to think about all these things all of the time to make sure that things run smoothly. But I guess my question surrounding this would be, because I'm coming from a man's mind, why isn't this considered teamwork? Because the person with the mental load, they think about everything and they plan stuff out, and then they have somebody to be the workhorse to go out and do it. why isn't it seen like you do your part, I do my part to help out? Because let's think about it like this. You said that if I'm going to plan it out, I might as well do it myself. I don't know why you would do that when you have somebody to actually fulfill what you've planned out. And then the question becomes, and I'm going to take this into a workspace. If a manager has planned certain things out, why would the manager then go and do everything that the manager planned? Now, I've never heard a manager say, well, I planned it out, I should just go do everything. But no, you have people that work under you that can take care of those things for you. But see, the thing is, I know people will hear that and be like, well, the husband isn't the employee. I know men gonna get, probably catch a little flack for this, but the men kind of are like employees in the house, unfortunately, in a lot of situations. But I think the thought of men being an employee, I think the employee mindset, it kind of waxes and wanes when you have proper teamwork in a marriage. Because sometimes the husband is doing what the wife has asked or planned out, and sometimes the wife is doing what the husband is planned out, even though maybe the husband doesn't do a whole lot. But when you take it into account, and I know people are not going to like what I'm about to say because they're like, this doesn't happen all the time. When a man has to step out of the house and think about protecting his family, he is trying to think and plan around things to make sure or to ensure that his family is safe and that nothing is happening to him. That is a part of the mental load that women don't carry. And I know y'all like, well, that's not even really, because I got to think about this at the store. I got to think about this at the dentist appointment and the doctor's appointment and the house and planning this and planning that. I understand. That is a lot to think about. But then again, the question becomes, if you're thinking about these things, does the mental load always equal the physical load of actually carrying out the task? And then again, I take it back to my initial question. Why is this not seen as teamwork rather than the man is just an idiot and this is weaponized incompetence and all these other words and phrases we use to basically incinerate the man and his character? Just character assassination all across the internet. Just the men are just garbage because the woman thinks and the man only does. So if the man says she only thinks, there'll be a problem. But when the women say the man only does, there's no problem with that. I want everybody to work together, and I don't see why we can't look at it like this. Now, the question is, do I only do and never implement? Never think.
No, so I was actually about to say I am very grateful that we have an actual partnership. I don't carry the whole mental load for anything, and he doesn't just do the task. That is the reality that we live in, and I appreciate that. I do want to go back to the whole teamwork aspect that you talk about. The way that we have teamwork, right? It works fine. I don't carry the mental load for the task that you do. You do that. I don't need to do that. But it sounded like, if I'm understanding you correctly, in this scenario, we're talking about the woman continuing to carry the mental load and the man doing the task, right? So I want to put it into perspective, right? They both work. Husband works, wife works. They both have children. Let's say they have 2 kids. The woman is responsible usually for the grocery shopping, the meal planning, the laundry, and the kids' schoolwork. Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are 4 things that she has to think about on a weekly basis, mm-hmm. right? The man is responsible for the lawn care, taking out the trash, car maintenance, and the pets. Okay, so they both have 4 things that they have to think about and consider on a weekly basis, right? Mm-hmm. And they both share responsibility for the children. So let me not leave that out. There is shared responsibility equal across the thing for the children, right? Mm-hmm. So they both have these 4 things that they're responsible for, the mental load of and the task of. Mm-hmm. Okay, this week, one kid's birthday is coming up, and the other kid has a recital at school, and they need to help build a set for it. I don't know. I'm being ridiculous, but this is where we are. So one kid has a birthday, one kid has a recital at school that requires set building. Okay. The wife has owned both of these. I'm not sure why. Maybe the husband had a full load at work and wasn't able to do this. So she's got these 4 things that she's thinking about regularly. These are her regular things. And now she has a birthday party that she needs to plan. That's going to involve making sure the house is clean, making sure the decorations are purchased, invitations are done, food is done, like the whole gambit that comes with planning a birthday party. And on top of that, the other kid has this event at school where they need to help make part of the set. So there's a project. You need help make part of the set. You need to remember your lines. You need to do these things, right? Okay. So there's the mental load. Now you have 2 extra things of a mental load. And I say, hey, you know what, babe? This week, I really need you to handle the grocery shopping for me. Can you take that off my plate? Okay. And he says, sure, just give me a list. In that moment, while he has indeed taken the task, she still has the mental load of going to the pantry and checking the pantry, going to the refrigerator, checking the pantry, planning out what the meal looks like, planning out the grocery stores to go to, and then making the list and giving it to him. So the only thing you took off the plate was physically going to the grocery store. I still have to take the time to do all of these things. So I'd still have those same 6 things on my plate. You took a piece of one, but you didn't take the whole thing.
He could not take anything. Now, see, and people wouldn't like that, but that is the truth. I think the breakdown and the problem here between the men and the women in this type of conversation is if the same thing was spelled out in the other way and on the other side, meaning that the man had all this stuff and he said, honey, I need you to go to the grocery store and pick up this stuff for me. And the woman said, okay, give me a list. Most men wouldn't be like, what? You want me to make a list? I think the majority of men will be like, sure, because I'm not doing the physical task. And that's because a lot of times, men are often used as utilities to do physical tasks. So it's just like, dang, take this off my plate, the physical task. And y'all are always doing the mental load. And I guess the majority of the time you're doing the physical task, I guess. But it seems like the mental load is what's really knocking y'all off the horse. So I guess I can see it from both sides. I don't think most men, like I said, will have an issue with creating a list to give to the woman, but I could be wrong on that. I know for me, it wouldn't be an issue for me, but with you, with what you're explaining, if the mental load is the issue, and that's always what's bogging you down, it wouldn't hurt for the man to take that particular portion off of it. But I think the issue is, instead of getting upset and agitated that he asked you to make a list, just explain to him, honey, when I asked you to go to the grocery store, I would actually like for you to make the list as well, because I don't really have time. Because the whole reason I asked you to go to the grocery store is because, I have all these other things to do. Instead of getting upset, why don't you explain or communicate that to him? And I'm sure he'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think about that, honey, but I'll go ahead. And then you'll be like, well, see, that's where the mental load comes in. Why did I have to think about telling you? But see, the question is, why do you have to think about communicating with the person that you're in a relationship with? Because y'all are not the same person.
So I hear you. I want to go back to the point where you said if the tables were flipped and the man asked the woman, you said go to the grocery store. I'm just going to say anything to take the cars to the dealership. She wouldn't have asked for a list. That is where the issue falls. Because, hear me out, because the woman would just take the task and the mental load and do it. And the man in most situations is asking for the list. So I hear you. Yes, there needs to be better communication, but that is where the breakdown is. Mm-hmm. That's where it's happening.
Okay, I understand that. So we're going to take what you just said. Mm-hmm. You said that the woman would ask for a list. She would just take the cars. And you see what ends up happening, that she ended up doing something wrong, and now we have a higher bill because she didn't simply ask the question or ask for the list. So now you're supposed to go for an oil change. Now you had hoses changed out and other fluids, and now you got new tires because now they're bought. See, that's the problem. See, men y'all think that men don't have a specific type of mental load, but when the man is asking for the list, in my opinion, because would be my thinking, if I'm asking you for a list or asking you, okay, which one of these exactly do you want? I'm thinking down the road, like, well, if I get the wrong one, then she's not going to be able to do exactly what she wants to do with this meal, or it may not taste like she wanted to taste, or she simply just might get upset that I didn't get exactly what she wanted. So let me go ahead and nip that in the bud and make sure I do exactly what she wants so I can curtail or stop whatever kind of issue that may come up in the future. Y'all are just like, take it, I'm going to do it. And whatever happens, happens. Okay. But see, when whatever happens, now we have a bad situation on our hand, and men are trying to think steps ahead to kind of stop a bad situation from happening. Y'all just want to be like, well, I'm just going to complete this task, and if a bad situation happens, it happens. And I know people be like, that's not true. But as you just explained, it kind of is true, because you're walking there, and then now we got stuff for the car that we didn't need, and now our budget is blown. Because you thought they were being truthful. They actually found this stuff wrong with the car. And you know what? If we don't get this done, then, hey, it's going to be a problem down the line. But this could have all been, not even dealt with if you would have just asked in the beginning. Now, the man would have took the question and be like, man, I'm sure glad she asked. Actually, I'm glad that she took the car And I'm glad that she asked this question because this just defeated 2 issues.
We said all of this, right? And I think ultimately what we want is a solution for those people who are dealing with this. I can say for us, we have a situation that works very well. I indeed carry all the mental load and the physical task of doing the groceries and all of the cooking. But you know what? It's what I enjoy. I don't want him to go to the grocery store for me. I like that. He is responsible for the cars. I'm going to use this as an example. My car, for instance, I have an electric vehicle and I have a concierge situation where they come and get my car and take it to the dealership and then text me along the way and let me know what's going on. In my mind, I know that this is his deal, right? I follow through with the task. I arrange the pickup. I text them back as they text me, and I send it over to him and ask the question. We don't have an issue with I'm doing the task, you're carrying the mental load. You're doing the task, I'm carrying the mental load. We have just learned to communicate with each other, because if you are doing a task and I want it done a certain way, then I'm going to voice that to you. We have to get past this whole, I shouldn't have to explain. You should just know. Why do I have to walk you through that? Because you're 2 different people. If you are primarily responsible for the grocery shopping and you know what brands you normally buy in the house, you know how you normally do the grocery shopping, you cannot expect your partner to just know, especially if they're not there with you. My kids go grocery shopping with me all the time. That doesn't mean that I can let them loose in Sprouts to do the grocery shopping, because they haven't learned how I think it through, because it's in my mind. None of us are mind readers. We have to open our mouths and communicate. If you want the mental load taken from you, we talked about management and employee. You know what happens with management and employees? Employees go through training. They get SOPs and they get step-by-step instructions on how to execute a task. That is why when management says, hey, to the employee, hey, I need you to do this, they can take it and they can go and do it because training has occurred. So if this is what you want, if you want the mental load and the task taken from you, then you have to provide the training in order for them to execute it.
And you said something pretty important, at least to me. You basically said something around they don't think like you think, right? So they have to go through all this training and things, right? I think it's important to understand that your partner does not think like you. And I know people will think, hey, well, they've been with me for X amount of years and they see the stuff that we do. And so why wouldn't they be able to just do this on their own? They can, though. They're just not doing it like you are doing it. And you brought this up in the beginning. If you want the mental load off you, you're going to have to give that portion of it away, and you're going to have to accept what comes back, because they are not thinking like you. And since they're not thinking like you, they ask questions. I think people think just because men ask questions in these scenarios, they think that the men are just stupid. But to me, I think this is the smartest thing you can do. Because at work, yes, you want to be the employee or the person on the team that can take things and execute no matter what without having to bother the manager. But why would you not get clear understanding before you do a task that has been delegated to you? Like they come in there and they tell you, I want you to do this, this, and this, and I want it to be spelled out like this. And you're like, okay, cool. You start doing it, and then you run into a bump in the road. Do you just try to find your way over there, bump in the road, and possibly do the wrong thing? Or do you want to make sure that you get a clear understanding so that you don't have to go back and do this thing all over again? That would be crazy. Who the heck would want to go? And we keep using grocery store because that seems to be one of the things that we can use laundry if y'all want to. But who the heck wants to go to the grocery store, pick something up that wasn't exactly what the person, let's say something is out. One of the brands is out or something.
You brought
like
me shoulder steak instead of leg steak.
Right. Something, and you're just like, well, this is good enough. This is good enough. And then I bring it home and you're like, what the heck is this? So now I got to go back to the store. I got to expend more energy and gas and more time wasted because I didn't get a clear understanding. But I get it. Because see, now you're dealing with even more mental load. And now I'm dealing with more mental load because now I have been shamed. Now that I've walked in the house with this wrong thing, now I feel stupid because I've made this mistake. And because let's be honest, if the man walks in the house with something that you didn't ask, you're more than likely going to make him feel a little bit dumb, even if it's not on purpose, but it's going to be on purpose. You know how y'all do. Because no, you don't. But I'm saying though, you're not going to tell him that he got it wrong in a loving way. Well, honey, I didn't ask for this. I really appreciate that you got this for me and you took this off my plate, but I really needed XYZ. And I just really need you to run back to the store. Will he be a little bit agitated with that? Probably, but he'll accept that a lot better than this. Why the heck did you get this? This wasn't on the list. I didn't tell you to get this. Well, honey, it was out and I didn't want to bother you. So you went out. and you didn't want to bother me. So you just got whatever you wanted to get. Now he feels stupid. Now he got to go back to the store and try to fix the issue. I think in either one of these situations or any of these situations, communication for me is the key. I just don't see why it's such an issue. But I am a man and I don't carry that type of mental load. The mental load I carry is a bit different. And people might say you don't carry it all the time, like I said earlier, but men do carry a certain amount of mental load on the other side. I think people just think that men's heads are empty. Men compartmentalize things a lot better than women. I always hear a lot of times women, it's just a lot of ideas and talking going on in their head all of the time. And men don't seem to have that. We have little boxes, a lot of men, at least I do. I'll speak for myself, that we just put things in, close that box, and we'll come back to it when we need it. So in my head, it's silent or peaceful the majority of the time. Not a whole bunch of gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this all the time. And my question is that something that has been placed on women, or is that something that women always have to deal with? Is it a part of y'all's nature? That I don't have any answers for that. But I think the issue becomes, if it is a part of y'all's nature and it's not a part of man's nature, then what? Maybe it is a part of y'all's nature because y'all have to be naturally defensive or protective over your own. I don't know.
I think my final takeaway from this is going to be communication is key, and learning to accept that your way is not the only way.
All right, so that's your final takeaway. You got anything else?
Nope, you.
Nah.
All right. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button, and we will see y'all next time.
Peace.
Night.